got all the cool movies you want to come rent. Our selection is undeniable, featuring all the titles that the owner likes to have. We have toys. Why stream movies when you can rent a bunch of Sylvester Stallone VHS tapes? Even Bloodsport, Hocus Pocus, Groundhog Day, The Firm, Nowhere to Run, The Nutty Professor, Caddyshack, Night Shift. We even have Laserdiscs, Predator. You name it, we have it at Video CHH. Come on down. We've even got all the latest nuggets.
Video CHH. Terminator 2, yeah, we've got that on DVD, VHS, Blu-ray, Laserdisc, 4K, and 4K Steelbook. I will say, though, that the 4K really got screwed up by James Cameron. He DNR'd the hell out of it. I'd recommend the Laserdisc. Okay, thank you. Well, it's been a slow opening over here at Video CHH, but, you know, you guys are here, so we may as well talk about some movies. Let's do some rental recommendations. Now, this is going to be basically a retro style of movies that I love that I'd love to recommend to you. Obviously, we got a list of stuff right here and a stack of stuff right here. How about we make today's theme movies I love to see on the shelf back in the day? Now, not necessarily movies I watched back in the day, but I love them. And it's just a fun way to spark a conversation about some films that I would love to talk about today. Obviously, I've rebranded, so I'm opening my spectrum a little bit wider than just horror. But with that being said, I'd be remiss not to start Video CHH with a horror movie. So even though the St. Patrick's Day has passed us, I'd be remiss not to recommend Leprechaun 3 as a video for you guys to rent or to watch. You know, the thing about Leprechaun 3 that's so great is it seemed like they just, I don't know, they expanded on the character in such a great way, bringing him into Las Vegas. It was a match made in heaven. Now, the beauty is that the artwork on Leprechaun 3 was always so great. I love the Jason Takes Manhattan style cover on here, and Carolyn Williams from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 was in here. This movie is hysterical. How do you not love the Elvis scene with the Leprechaun? Warwick Davis just owns this role in the hands of any other man, much less a lesser man. Leprechaun 3 just falls on his face. Any of the Leprechauns would just fall on their face. So Leprechaun 3, definitely give this one a rent. We've got a sale on rentals right now. Okay, let's move a little bit away from horror, but not really. I used to love looking at this movie on the shelf back in the day, Aliens. Not necessarily Alien, but Aliens. And it may not have been this edition. They might have had a more basic edition. But Aliens was eventually the one I saw first. But I would turn this thing around and see these monstrous xenomorphs on here and just be terrified. It was a movie that this was one of those movies that I would build up in my head how scary it would be and always worry that it wouldn't level up to what it was going to be. But Aliens was, in fact, that, as a kid, it was the scariest thing on the planet. But the beauty is some movies, nostalgia can either play tricks on you or work in your favor. This is one that worked in my favor because Aliens, while it was the most terrifying thing ever as a kid, as I got older, I see it as just this great mix of action and horror and sci-fi all together with really funny scenes with Bill Paxton and Lance Henriksen. I've always stated that anything with Lance Henriksen is an automatic at least 2.5 stars out of 5. But Aliens, man, I go back and forth. I think Alien is the best, but Aliens is just one of those movies. So, there we go. I'm gonna call this 5 rental recommendations, but we certainly have more than that. We got one more VHS, and we'll do some Laserdisc because Video CHH does specialize in Laserdisc for our higher clientele. How about this? I'm a big Robocop fan. I've talked about Robocop before. I love the first movie. It's in my top 10 all-time greatest movies ever is Robocop. But I'd be remiss not to talk about the sequel, Robocop 2. This one is great. This one has Tom Noonan. Tom Noonan is one of the greats of cinema. We've seen him in movies like House of the Devil. We've seen Tom Noonan. I believe he played Frankenstein in the Monster Squad. And also, Tom Noonan was the villain in Last Action Hero, which one of these days on Video CHH, I'm going to do this huge video about this because I love Last Action Hero. It's actually my favorite Schwarzenegger film. But Robocop 2 was more of the almost splatterpunk entry in the Robocop series. It's really bombastic. The music's great. There's a band called Babylon AD that has a song called The Kid Goes Wild that is marvelous in this movie. And Tom Noonan is such a great villain. Now, this movie's all about this drug that's hitting the streets, and everybody wants it. Nuke, I believe, is the name of the drug. People are dying for it, and he wants to be the man in charge of this new world that is where he's just, this drug puts everybody, basically makes them as slaves because all they want to do is the drug. This one's great. Obviously, Peter Weller's back for 2. He did not come back for 3, but I like 3. But Robocop 2 is such a great sequel. It's just, this is like horror adjacent because these movies are so brutal and just gory. I think horror fans would love them. So if you've never watched the sequels to Robocop, 2 is money. So let's move into how about some action? So I am a Van Damme guy. My dad is a Seagal guy. My dad loves Steven Seagal. Granted, I am a Seagal fan too, obviously his earlier work. And if I had to pick one, definitely Under Siege is going to be my favorite Seagal movie. Truth be told though, while he's good in the movie, the cast is impeccable. You've got Gary Busey and you've got Tommy Lee Jones as the villains. This movie is also called Die Hard on a Boat, which is not incorrect, I guess. But Under Siege is really, really, really good. Tommy Lee Jones is like this rock star hippie. And there's this great scene where he comes onto the boat. They fly him onto the boat. There's a party for, I think, the first in command on this ship. And Tommy Lee Jones is rocking out on stage with the band. Then he goes, "Who is the highest ranking officer in this room right now?" And so the room clears and you see the guy say, "Me." Boom! Blows his head off right then and there. It's a great scene. And then obviously Steven Seagal has to work his way through this boat. He gets arrested because half of the people don't like him because he's Steven Seagal basically. But the movie's actually really, really good. I actually think, you know, a lot of horror fans probably already fans of this kind of thing, but this movie is awesome. I love, love, love Under Siege. This is one of my all-time favorites from the early 90s. So Seagal, I'll give you this one. I'll give it to you, brother. All right, so let's talk about Michael J. Fox. Massive Michael J. Fox fan, and I'd be remiss not to talk about The Frighteners. This is easily my favorite horror movie. Horror movie is a strong word. Call it whatever you want, quite frankly. I don't want to quibble over definition. My favorite movie probably of 1996, The Frighteners, is so good. You know, Michael Fox was already battling his Parkinson's at this time, but this one is just this charming Robert Zemeckis film that just hits it. I believe it's Robert Zemeckis. Excuse me, it's written by Peter Jackson. And who is it directed by? Yeah, this is a Peter Jackson film. This is not a Robert Zemeckis film. Even better. The Frighteners is so good. This movie needs a 4K, but luckily I have a letterboxed Laserdisc, and you can rent it at Video CHH, not Planet CHH. You can rent it at Video CHH. But this one's so good. I feel like this one kind of gets buried. You don't hear it talked about a whole lot. Obviously, Back to the Future is Michael's swan song, but he's also done some great stuff like Secret of My Success, The Hard Way with James Woods, you know, Doc Hollywood, but this is among his top. So definitely give The Frighteners a watch. Great, great, great CGI effects in here that look great. And Arlie Ermey's in here. You'll love it. And our last rental recommend of the day is actually a Laserdisc that was late in the lifespan. I love this movie. This movie scared the crap out of me as a kid, guys. Anaconda. This movie actually has Eric Stoltz in it, and if you know Eric Stoltz, speaking of Michael Fox, he was Marty McFly in Back to the Future before they cut him. But he's a good actor. He just wasn't right for the part, so we got to make that clear. But I gotta say that Anaconda is the real deal, man. This is that time where there is practical Anaconda effects, but there's also CGI stuff. But the CGI, I think, is done well. I just think it's, I don't know the technology during that time. It just seems like there's certain movies where they just do it right and other ones where they don't. But this seems to be one where it's just done good. So Anaconda is amazing. Great cast. Lopez, Ice Cube's in here, and Eric Stoltz. Definitely check this out, guys. So you can rent all these movies right now at Video CHH. And we'll make this a thing. When the store is a little bit slow here, we will do rental recommendations where I can tell you guys movies you can come rent at the store. No, but seriously, guys, I'm having fun. I'm excited to start this new chapter of the channel where I'll come in here and just do long form videos with my brother when he moves down, and we'll break down fun movies like Terminator 2 or, you know, Rambo First Blood Part 2, or whatever, Back to the Future, which I'd love to do, and even horror films too. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is fun. This is the beginning. Obviously, things are going to get more intricate and cleaned up in here, but I just wanted to give you guys a taste of it because I promised you guys it was coming, and here it is. So thank you. Let me know about these recommends. What's your favorite? Tell me your stories, which ones you saw on the video shelves back in the day that you were really just intrigued to see. So this is Christian. See you guys next time.